Welcome to Third Fridays, the monthly legal talk show from Lois LLC featuring attorney Christian Cison. This is the original forum in which real attorneys discuss workers' compensation issues, share their opinions, and engage in colorful conversations. This show showcases diverse perspectives of attorneys handling workers' comp cases, including case law trends, practical litigation strategies, and hot topics. Here's your host, Christian Cison.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the November 2025 edition of the Third Fridays podcast. The year is almost over, starting to get into gratitude month here at the firm, and nobody better than to do this month's gratitude month podcast than my partner, Joseph Melchionne. Welcome back to the show, Joe.
Thank you very much, Christian. It's been a while since I've been here. I like the new digs, and I'm real happy to be here, and I'm very excited about this month's topic.
Yeah, you know, we have a window, a little bit fancier equipment. This was Mr. Lois's Christmas present to me last year that he kept sneakily telling me about at last year's holiday party. So it's been a good year. I do want to remind everybody that last month's episode with Tashia Razul was about overcoming the scaries, that, as we called it. You know, you're no stranger to it yourself as a seasoned attorney. Those first years, having hearings, depositions, client emails, client phone calls, all those things, even adversary negotiations. It's almost like you have to get over that hump and be comfortable to start really understanding how much of a great work-life balance you can create in this particular industry. So if anybody hasn't listened to it, that's a great listen. On that topic, Joe, do you have any anecdotes as to your first year doing it? Maybe your first hearing or deposition, or first thing that you remember where you got over the hump and now you felt like, okay, like, no, I not only can I do this, but I'm pretty good at this, and this is going to be, you know, a career that I'm going to establish for myself?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think about that very topic often because as I train newer attorneys or people come to ask for advice, one of the initial things I try to do is always make them feel comfortable. And the way I try to do that is to try to relate to them, to let them know that we were all in that same position at some point. We're just a little further down the road than they are. And that our success here, all of our success here, it should be a testament to the fact that over time things do get easier. But I also understand that sounds good, but it doesn't always provide the lesser experience.
Right, they're probably expecting that.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I do tell them is I do talk about anecdotes, and one of the anecdotes I tell, and it's absolutely true, is the firm was a lot smaller when I started almost 10 years ago. I think that there were maybe 20 total employees and maybe 13 attorneys, maybe less. I don't know. Obviously, you were one of them, Declan, Tashia. And what I did is I was very concerned. You know, I'm a type A personality. I like to control the situation. And sometimes, as you know very well, going into these hearings, it's a completely uncontrollable situation, right? Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen. You can prepare for a hearing, but that doesn't mean you are going to be able to fully prepare for anything that may happen in a hearing. And that's sometimes what's most difficult for some of the newer attorneys and paralegals that are working at the firm. But what I did was I did prepare, and I would go from partner to partner or senior associate to senior associate and try to get a little bit of information from each and every one of them. I wouldn't just kind of latch on to one person. It wouldn't be John Marzola. It wouldn't be Christian Cison. It wouldn't be just Declan Gorley, but I'd spread it around because every single person here, one of the best aspects of working at Lois Law Firm is that everyone that is a partner here or a senior associate or a senior paralegal, we're all very different. There's such diversity of thought and talent. And I took a little bit from each one of those people, and I looked at it as having arrows in my quiver, right? And once I had in about 6 months, maybe a year, I had a certain amount of arrows in my quiver that even though I couldn't fully prepare for any situation at any given hearing, I had enough skills in my quiver that I could get through that hearing and serve our clients successfully. And that's what I try to tell the newer practitioners, to just stick with it, trust in the process. We have amazing resources here. We have an amazing process. And if they trust that and they listen to the advice and caps, and when they talk to their managers and they talk to other people, that comfort level will eventually get there.
Yeah, that's a very interesting addition to what Tashi and I talked about last week, is that there's no way to guarantee that everything you hear at a hearing is something that you've prepared for, right? Especially in the day and age of instant uploading documents to the board docket. You could be all prepared on as many as maybe 4 or 5 issues, and then all of a sudden the other side or sometimes the judge will just pick apart a random document and say, what's this about, right? And I guess being comfortable in that space is really the most you can do, right? Nobody is ever thinking, well, you have to be able to recite or memorize every single document that's in the file. I don't know how many files an attorney would be able to handle if that was really the requirement, but that's a really interesting point. A little off topic from what we're going to discuss today, but still valid nonetheless. Being comfortable with the unknown.
Right. I would say what I tell them is being comfortable with conflict.
Right,
It's okay because we can never control what's going to happen. But if you're comfortable with conflict and you know that if things go not as planned, there are some things that you can do in your back pocket, you can pull out to protect yourselves and the client. Number one being, if all else fails, just repeat what the judge says and say, I note my exception to this finding.
Right.
So no matter what, there's a plan. We have a catch-all safe plan of action.
Right. All right. Well, that's a great point. That's a great point. Let's dive into what we wanted to talk about today. In light of November being a month of gratitude, there is for the people who haven't used or aren't going to use their PTO on the day or the day before, leading up to Thanksgiving. There's always this flood of gratitude statements that we share with each other every year, and it's always a very interesting, tag you're it kind of thing, where everybody repeats what they're thankful for, what they're grateful for, and for some reason, I could probably guess what the reasons were, but there were a lot of incoming posts even before we got to a couple days before Thanksgiving. We're already seeing it in the last month and then into this month. So we do around this firm, we do impact statements or gratitude statements every day at the firm. And, since I can remember, not that there's an official tally, but I would have to bet that you are the number one impact and gratitude statement poster in the firm. I think it's like clockwork for you, which is very impressive. So let's first start out with what is an impact statement or a gratitude statement for the outsiders that are listening to this program. What is it? How do we define that?
Right. Well, first, I think I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to say that the impact and gratitude statements, which sometimes people that are not that are new to the firm, rather, they're a little resistant to. It's like another thing I have to do because they don't really understand the impact of the impact statements until they can fully experience it. It's another unique thing that we do here at Lois that I have never heard of any other firm doing. Right. I know a lot of attorneys, I know a lot of people that work in different industries, and this is unique. Another way that Lois Law Firm is so unique and so powerful. But to answer your question, an impact or gratitude statement is a statement that every employee at this firm should be making every single day on our group Teams chat, wherein we have the option to either choose to offer gratitude to someone else at the firm, whether it be your attorney, your paralegal, or some other employee, someone that works in the administration, for something that they have done to improve your life or to improve their practice that you deem is worthy of sharing. And as you know, there are plenty of those to go around, which means we most likely work at a great place with a lot of great people.
Right.
But equally as important are the impact statements that are not gratitude statements. And those statements usually are someone, whether it be a paralegal, an attorney, or someone else, another employee at the firm, discussing or elucidating a positive impact they have had at a case level or with a client or with an adversary or in a hearing, a positive result or impact due to their efforts. And I love the gratitude statements. I'm all about reciprocal gratitude. We love that, warms our hearts. But to me, I really like those daily impact statements for many, many reasons. And I'm sure we're going to get into what those reasons are throughout the course of this podcast.
Yeah. And one thing that's interesting about it, right, is that, at the end of the day, it makes you look back, right, at what you did, right? And you'd be very hard pressed to find nothing that didn't impact a client, didn't impact a case, didn't impact a coworker, didn't impact the practice, right? There's always going to be one thing. And, we have several people that try to post multiple impacts or not even try, they do. And so the idea is that when you look back at your day, it's not a hard thing to do, right? We encourage everybody to do it every day, like you mentioned. By no means is it, a mandatory thing, but I do agree that new people probably think like, oh, this is like something I have to like search the deep depths of like things, and I have to say something that's so beyond my wildest dreams,
or so something profound that it has to be life changing.
Change the law, right? Or I have to really say something that no one's ever heard before. And really, if that were the case, like we'd have no impact statements. Well, we'd have like it'd be amazing if one person had one for the whole year.
Right.
That was so profound. I don't think that I don't think I've ever posted one impact or gratitude that was profound enough that somebody read it and be like, I don't think I've ever read that before or like heard of this, right? It's not supposed to be uncommon.
Right. And I think that once people realize that that's not the point, my favorite gratitude statements or my favorite impact statements are the mundane ones, little things that you would never think had an impact on a case that every single person at this firm has an opportunity to do every single day.
Right.
Because then it shows to everyone that these impacts don't have to change the law or change someone's life or change
like
the
one
world.
Step.
Right. This is one little thing I did in a case that had some sort of a profound impact later on or right now, either in the client's eyes through the overall exposure of the case, or even to my coworker. Made my coworker's job easier, or opened my eyes to something that I didn't previously see. So I think that once people see that, it almost becomes contagious, and people become excited to post these impacts every day.
Absolutely. I mean, I can say that to think that we're beyond learning is obviously not the case here, but I can say firsthand that sometimes I read impact statements and gratitude statements from people who have been here less than a year, right? And I read them and I say like, oh, that's really interesting. Like and I've asked them about it, like, hey, like how did that happen? Or can you give me like more like nuggets about that? And I'll go into it and I was like, oh, like I didn't think you could do it this way, or I'm surprised at the result. And I think the encouragement is almost like this feedback loop that it can constantly keep moving. And it really takes advantage of how much we've grown over the years. Mm-hmm. So really great intro there. Your thoughts on the impact and the gratitude statement. Great definition. I think our clients understand what that is. So today we're going to play a little game, right? So because there's been so much of a ramp up in posts over the firm, Joe and I thought it might be interesting if we picked some of our favorite ones, we read them aloud, and then the other person has to guess blindly who in the firm could have done that. So, it's this weird thing where, since we've both been looking at it over the past month, are we going to pick the same ones? We might have a few similar ones. Mm-hmm. And then also, even if we get it wrong, it's kind of still like a shout out to the person, because it's like, I could see this paralegal saying that, which means that, you're still recognizing the person's efforts and dedication to the practice. So I looked at this kind of like lose-lose. I either say a name that's correct or I say a name that's incorrect, and it still means that, they're getting some pub here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to go first, Joe?
If you don't mind, sure. I'm excited to get to this. All right, I have to be careful here that I don't say anything that's going to be leading, and I think that I've redacted enough in my notes here. Let's see. All right, so my first statement it's an impact statement, and it's kind of a hybrid of everything we've spoken about before. So here it goes. Okay. Thankful for my colleagues and the collaborating teaching environment here at Lois. After realizing I had some confusion as to CMS approval thresholds and MSA questions, I was able to get insight from 3 experienced Lois attorneys. This morning, with my newfound knowledge, I was able to call an adjuster and explain that keeping a settlement below $25,000 doesn't relieve us of having to consider Medicare's interests. At the end of the call, the adjuster thanked me and said she's been doing this for years and wasn't aware of that aspect of the CMS approval process. And she noted that she appreciated my call and the insight that I provided.
Okay. I know the answer to this one.
Did you pick this one too?
I didn't pick it because I had the same thought for picking it, because I think of the 3 experienced attorneys that this person talked to, I think we were 2 of them.
Okay.
Because it happened. I know that this person would ask you about this, and I remember the day that it was posted, I spoke to this person specifically. So that was a very interesting moment too, right? And so I'm gonna guess Elizabeth Pappas as the writer of that impact statement.
You are 100% correct.
Okay, all right. I was going to go on more, and I've realized that I should just say it just in case if I'm wrong, and then I just wax poetic about someone else. So the interesting thing about that is we deal with so many issues within a workers' compensation claim, and a lot of times certain topics or concepts are handled, for us or without us knowing. And sometimes we have that opportunity where we see something happening and we can really change the direction. I think the CMS approval threshold for Medicare is one of those things where a certain concept or process has been put forth, not just by this adjuster, by plenty of risk professionals across the space, using the $25,000 number as a way to determine whether or not they pursue an MSA. And I think that, if this was us 10 years ago, I don't think that we would have had as many personnel in terms of senior attorneys to actually help this attorney.
Absolutely not.
I can say for myself that, I would not have been able to kind of talk about, hey, our materials say this, or this is a case where I had the same issue. So it really speaks to almost how much we've developed that area of our practice.
I agree. And it also shows the timelessness of the fact that, as you can see how we started this conversation today, I told you that 10 years ago, I went to different people and got answers. And I picked this because it really hits on every aspect of what makes a good gratitude and impact statement. Elizabeth started the statement by saying she went to 3 experienced attorneys, got the same answer, but all 3 attorneys were very willing to take the time to spend with her to discuss that. That's great. And she was appreciative of that. And this is a pretty high level issue, I think, for someone that's been practicing for less than a year. And I think it's impressive that she was able to utilize the resources we have and be able to provide that level of service to the client, get that type of response to the client. And I also think, I think you were alluding to this before, this is a question that comes up a lot by adversaries, by our clients, judges sometimes. Not everyone has a full understanding or is looking at it through the same lens. So we get conflicting answers. So this is a question that is not very easily to answer. The concept is easy, but I could see how some less experienced attorneys and paralegals could get confused because they're getting conflicting information all the time.
Right.
One of the great things about the impact statement is now there is a running compendium every single day, a resource for everyone at the firm to be able to consult and say, you know what, I think Elizabeth had a question or a comment or an impact statement a few weeks ago on this exact issue. I'm going to go back and look it up.
Right.
And here's the answer right here.
Right. You can literally search keywords that will bring up her impact statement. You can message her like, hey, did you post something about that like a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago? What was it again? And the constant feedback loop, it's this pay it forward approach that, you're right. This is actually moving the ball forward, not just for that case, but for the concept and the firm as a whole. Mm-hmm. So that's a great one. All right. I will go with one now.
Okay.
And when you reference yours, now I'm like reading mine again before I even say it. I was just like, did I redact everything to not give enough clues? Okay. Okay, this is an impact statement. It says, claimant's counsel reached out to our client to pay for transportation to an upcoming IME, as it is located in a different state and is 1 hour away. Claimant stated his injuries were too severe to use public transportation, parentheses, apparently over 3 hours, close parentheses, and due to financial burden to not being able to afford a car service. However, I did some digging on maps that the claimant is currently living in New Jersey, and he has been actively treating with his physicians that are located 40 minutes to 1 hour away in Staten Island, which happens to be in the same area the IME is scheduled for. I let them know that the carrier will not be providing transportation to the examination and to advise the claimant to plan on attending the upcoming IME as planned. Hashtag don't mess with us. I feel like this is something, I see this and I know that people are doing this, right? In terms of like thinking this concept, but I don't see many posts like this of the investigation of like distance, time. I know you've had some cases Google Maps has been used or Apple Maps has been used to really like litigate your compensability theory or whatnot. Any guesses as to this person? You
know what? Here's the irony. I went through hundreds of impact statements preparing for today, and I do remember reading that. I do not remember who wrote it. I have a feeling this. Another wonderful thing about Lois Law Firm, this statement could equally have been written by an attorney or a paralegal.
Yes.
And I don't think that most firms could say that. And I feel very fortunate that we work at a firm where I can say that. However, that doesn't make my job right now any easier. Based upon context clues and the fact that this person went to and advised the client, I'm going to guess this is an attorney.
It's actually a paralegal.
Oh,
like you thought.
Okay. My initial feeling was a paralegal. I'm going to guess it's one of two people, but that would be a cop out. I know that it's going to be the opposite person. I'm going to guess, Loriana Diaz.
That is a good guess. That is a very good guess. Shout out Loriana, because I know she does stuff like this in her cases and gets really intricate with the details. Really, really good guess. Honestly, as I'm thinking about it, I was like, that's not only that incredible guess, I could see her posting that. Mm-hmm. It's actually Karen Olarte.
I'm not surprised one bit. Now that you say that, it's almost obvious. But I mean, again, I could have said Anna Fatovic. I could have said, a lot of people come to mind. Karen Olarte makes perfect sense. And I think that's extremely impressive. And it also reflects just how involved our paralegals are in our cases.
They're indispensable. I know you feel this way about your paralegal and a bunch of other paralegals at the firm. We cannot get the results we get for our clients without them. And this is an example of that cohesiveness of a handling team. Okay. You're up, Joe.
Okay. So I'm going to call an audible here because I think I might come back to the one I was going to read next. This, I think, was extremely impressive. And this is not a first-year attorney, but it's a rather less experienced attorney, but I was extremely impressed by this. Okay. So let me get right to it. Make sure this is the right one. And again, make sure there's no identifying stuff. Okay. Had a client conference call today, and that always impresses me when a lesser experienced, not a completely non-experienced attorney, but a lesser experienced attorney gets on a conference call. But had a conference call today with the client on a claim where the claimant is alleging injuries to the foot, knee, back, resulting from a forklift hitting him. The claim hasn't yet been established, and we had a previous conference call with the client where we had advised that they should not accept the back as a site of injury because there were red flags surrounding one, the fact that he almost immediately started receiving chiropractic treatment less than a week after the date of accident. 2, a witness who saw the accident happen told the employer that the claimant only got hit in the foot and then, quote unquote, threw himself to the ground. 3, there were several prior motor vehicle accidents on an ISO report that indicated possible priors to the back, which we had not gotten all the records for. Despite our advice, the client initially told us they wanted to accept the back because the employer was unable to get any actual accident footage, and the claimant had told them he threw himself to the ground in an attempt to avoid being hit by a machine. And they thought that was enough justification to accept the back and to accept the claim as causally related. However, In the conference call today, I explained our recommendations and that we should put the claimant to proofs regarding how he injured his back before outright accepting the site, especially since the fact that we had started already receiving some subpoena responses. Shout out to my blank paralegal, indicating that he's had at least some prior treatment to the back that could be useful for an IME on causal relationship. The client appreciated our aggressive approach, ended up changing their mind and telling us to proceed with denying the back and requesting testimony and mechanism of injury. Now, that was a little long-winded, but there's a really important reason why I chose that.
And I'm curious to hear it, because even without that reason, it's an incredible impact statement, proving that we are not just messengers in the field, right? If we have an opportunity to lend a helping hand for an exposure reduction strategy, supporting it with case facts, it is truly the customized bespoke approach that clients are asking for every single day. I think I know this. I know this update because specifically when this person writes an impact statement, it's never just like one line. So like the length of it kind of narrows it down to a few people. And you said not a new attorney, but inexperienced in the sense that, okay, they're having conference calls. So I'm like, whittling it down. I'm going to go with Emma Halpin.
I mean, 2 for 2, Christian, 100% right. Yes, and it is Emma Halpin, and a shout out to Emma here, because I know when Emma started, I was fortunate enough to be her manager, and I know how trepidatious she was. In such a short amount of time, to see her take complete control of a case like this so early on, give the client such incredible, enumerated, aggressive recommendations in a conference call, having the client change their entire strategy, and thanking her for the effort that she'd put in as a person that managed her, as a coworker that sits next to her. This just warmed my heart. Also, in this impact statement, it was a beautifully written impact statement where she literally annotated exactly what she did, but she also complimented the efforts of her paralegal, Anna Fitovic, who I know they work beautifully together. They both, I'm sure, pre-conference this case and are equally responsible for this great response we got from the client. And it's just amazing to see how far she's come. Now, this may not result in anything, or it may result in a complete disallowance. Either way, I think this really encapsulates our CAPS values in action, and it shows that our training program and our the procedures and our best practices that we talk about every day, people are absorbing it, they are using it in the real world, and we're getting results from clients as a result.
That I couldn't agree more. I think the really, really interesting thing that you just brought up is that, sure, it might not result in anything, but it could result in everything, right? Not being successful at trying this route doesn't really affect the client so much, because they're in the same position that they would have been if they choose not to accept the body part, or if they did. So by choosing to fight it, you're not only giving yourself the chance of removing unnecessary exposure from the claim, but you're providing a lot of leverage to your case. Maybe the claimant wants to settle. Maybe the claimant stops the treatment because they feel like, oh, they've got me dead to my rights, so on and so forth. So a really great point there about taking what the client is giving you and not pushing back in a way that, you're winning the battle and losing the war. It's just being part of the team and saying, hey, let's look at this again, right? And especially in a conference call setting where you might lose that over email, right? Having that voice aspect of it to really explain yourself not only proves that you can market the skills and market the defense, but that you really know what you're doing.
Right. I think, again, that's what separates Lois from the rest of our contemporaries, our peers. When we first came into this practice, you were obviously a little before me. It was very much the practice of New York workers' compensation defense and prosecution was a system that was self-replicating until Lois came in and really changed things. I think this impact statement perfectly displays how we're not just if the client comes in and said, you know what, we've reviewed this, thank you for your help, but we've decided to accept the case. And we weren't willing to accept that. We were willing to say, listen, you might want to take another look at this. And this is where I'm going with this. It is apparent here that before this, we had an ANCR trial while the case was still in controverted status. We had already started subpoenaing records before that trial. Our paralegal had started that process, and we were already getting subpoena responses back that may have indicated there was some prior treatment, which means there may be something that was not available, information not available to the client as they were preparing to accept the case. Because, they don't have much time to decide whether they're going to accept the case or not. So to your point, even if this didn't result in a dismissal or a disallowance, if something came back in those subpoena responses this early, we could perhaps turn that into a fraud argument in the situation where maybe this claimant had an accident but didn't fully disclose the extent of priors, and we have even further leverage to hit the ground running and reduce exposure sooner. So I just think all around this was a great statement.
Okay. I'm going to change it up here. I think this is it definitely is a gratitude statement. And I think that based on the gratitude statement, you might be able to narrow it down.
Oh, no. So good. I've been doing so well yet. We'll see.
It's only been one. Okay. All right. It's very short, right? The gratitude statement is, wanted to share the colorful view we have today from the Manhattan office. And it's a photo of overlooking Zuccotti Park. It's, the fall colors, and a little bit earlier during the day, so not a lot of the Christmas lights are out just yet. But you kind of see like the hustle and bustle of, the financial district from where this person took the picture. So wanted to share the colorful view we have today from the Manhattan office.
That was a great one, and I think you're trying to throw me a bone here, and I have a feeling that I'm going to drop the ball on the 1 yard line, but it could be a few people, but I really believe I know who this is. Because I know this person's personality, I know similar posts that they've made, and I know where they sit in the New York office. So,
okay.
So I'm going to guess Natalie Karen.
Yep, that's correct.
Great.
That's correct. I was not trying to throw you a bone there.
Well, thank you.
But yeah, I mean, we've been to the New York office, and we both regularly come to, HQ here in Paramus. And it's a special time of year, especially in the city. You get that little more crisp weather where you're not sweating as you come off the subway anymore. But it does really show that, we've talked about 3 impact statements that are going deep into cases. But gratitude can just be about like in the moment and saying like, wow, like I'm pretty thankful to be in this spot, to sit in this chair, to work in a place where, like when I can look outside from 22nd floor of a beautiful building, life just isn't that bad.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I am an aesthete. You know that. I am a person that takes a poetic view of life, and it's not lost on me when we went to go see the New York office for the first time. It really was, not only was it visually stunning, I think it's one of the best views in the city, but it also was a physical personification and representation of how far we've come as a firm. And I know you go into the office regularly on Tuesdays. I generally go into the New York office on Thursdays. And every single time, how lucky and fortunate we are that fact is not lost on me when we step off that train. And to me, not only is it a beautiful place to work in the greatest city in the world, but it also is a reflection of how far we've come as a firm and where we're going as a firm going forward.
Right. It's no longer just a mailbox. It's no longer just a shared co-working space. The progress to get to the level of having a New York address that people who go there and can be proud of is not, I mean, it's surprising in the sense that if you were to say that was going to happen to, say this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have never bet $1 on it.
Me neither.
But it's really an incredible show of, how much effort the firm puts back into our work lives here to get that opportunity. Not to say that we have the same exact legal background before coming here, but we both worked for smaller firms in New Jersey, right? And now we're partners at a law firm with a Manhattan footprint.
No, that is not lost on me. Every time I walk across Zuccotti Park and walk into that building, I'm filled with a sense of gratitude, and I don't think that's going to go away. Plus, I love the changing of the seasons in the city, especially Christmas, especially the fall. So no, talk about ultimate gratitude and Gratitude Month. I think that we both share that we are very fortunate to be able to work not only here in HQ, which is a beautiful facility, but also have the option to work in the city.
Right. Okay. Let's go with maybe third and final one from you.
Final one. Okay.
See if you can stump me, because I'm gonna go. I'm really thinking that I was gonna go 0 for 3, so I'm very happy to go 2 for 3 and miss this one.
All right.
If you can stump me.
You know what? I'm going to call another audible here because there's a reason why I'm going to choose this one. There's so many I chose from, but to restrict it to 3. All right. Save the client from the cost of an authorized surgery by comparing the date of the procedure to the date of the bill that was submitted. This required multiple document citations after the parties spent most of the hearing making arguments regarding permanency. Discussing the disputed medical bill towards the end forced our adversary to pivot quickly, and he failed to come up with any argument. Instead, he stated, "I believe the bill may be late." Now, before you answer this question, I want to explain, before you answer, why I chose it. Number one, it shows this impact statement serves as a model to everyone at the firm that being able to pivot, being quick on your feet in a hearing, and actually getting an adversary to concede something in front of a judge is a powerful thing, and it's very possible. It also shows preparation. We have the luxury to prepare compared to many of our adversaries and peers, and in doing so, no matter how long we've worked here, we can create situations where we have positive impacts for our clients that really make a cost savings or reduction of overall exposure in little ways, whether it be a medical bill or overall indemnity exposure. So that being said, do you know who posted this statement?
I was so worried that you were going to pick one of mine because I feel like it's a lose-lose situation. Either I get it right and I'm saying like, "Oh, look at me," or I get it wrong and I can't even remember my own impact statements. I think that's me.
It's you. And there's a reason why. I wasn't going to, this was like a backup for me. I was going to choose it if we went over, but I wanted to get to it for a reason. It also shows how much we care. I think every partner here, yourself included, no matter what we're doing, no matter how busy we are, we take seriously what is asked of us or suggested here. And whether we've been doing this for 12, 15 years or a year, we are all equally as invested in these impact statements. And no matter if it's someone that's worked here for a few months, or someone that's worked here since the beginning, since before the beginning. These impacts matter. We still have something to learn. And it just goes to show you that we all believe in what we're doing. We believe in our best practices. We believe in our core values, despite how long we've been here. So I felt like it was important to include this one.
Well, I will humbly also shout out the handling team since I was covering that hearing. I'll shout out to Shia Razul and Kara Malinowski for really teeing it up, a team effort, as every case is here at the firm. So thank you. Again, I didn't want you to pick one of mine, and I didn't have any of yours in here, but the fact that you used one of mine, I have to reiterate that the reason Mr. Melchionne is here as a guest on this month's podcast episode is because there is, without a doubt, the number one impact/gratitude poster. And if we were to even talk about, what's more meaningful to our coworkers, impacts or gratitudes, I would say it might even be harder for someone to sit at the keyboard and put a gratitude statement out to someone else in the firm. But you do that more than anyone by far. And so because you threw one out for me, I have to make sure that the readers know that I'm not going to do one of yours, but it doesn't underestimate how much of a contribution you've made to that part of our culture.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I didn't expect you to choose one for me. I kind of chose this not only to elucidate what I said, but also to kind of let you have some fun with it.
Okay. All right. Final one from me. Let's see here. I'm gonna go with this one. The impact is deposed Dr. So-and-so, Dr. Blank, on the issue of permanency for the wrist, and the doctor's testimony was riddled with concessions. The doctor conceded that the claimant had full range of motion, only measured range of motion once, and his 20% schedule loss of use opinion only accounts for the special consideration for carpal tunnel syndrome per the guidelines. The doctor said he's aware that the guidelines say 10 to 20% for carpal tunnel syndrome, but conceded that there was no basis to opine 20% over 10%, and that the claimant could instead be found with 10% schedule loss of use. Breaking down these doctors' opinions all day, and there's a sunglasses emoji face right afterward. So it's clear it's an attorney, right? Where they're deposing the doctor, and I would say this attorney is between 1 to 2 years of experience, I believe. I feel like that makes it harder. I don't even know if I should have said that.
No. I know you're trying to help me, and I appreciate that. I don't care so much about winning or losing. I do appreciate the journey here, and I think it's fun. And I will say, before I get this answer wrong, I will preface it by saying this. One of the other perks is that is a very detailed impact statement for someone that's been here for 2 or 3 or 1 year. That is a high level of thinking. It's a high level of practicing what we do. And it just goes, the fact that it could be one of many people who said that, just goes to show you how the type of talent that we attract here and the type of talent that we cultivate. So that being said, that's really just a disclaimer for when I get this wrong. And you've done everything you could to try to tee me off here. Oh man, the person who I thought it was is not. If you said they've only been here 1 to 2 years, so
who was the person you thought?
I thought it was
without the.
I was going to say Alexa Cintron. So
okay,
but I'm going to get another shot here because that's not who I would have said based upon your context clue. So someone that's been here 1 to 2 years. I'm going to guess. Is it Elias?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Yes.
What made you think Elias Aiden? Because that is correct.
Yes, Elias was. I just had the luxury of having him finish and complete 4L, which is a workshop that I have been conducting for a few years during our Third Friday workshop.
So that did help actually, because I was thinking, because you being a part of 4L, actually you can go back almost and think who is sat in my class, right? I didn't even think of that.
Well, I'm not thinking of it because he's been in there in the last 2 years. I'm thinking of it because there's something in the way he wrote that kind of, I remember him being a very active participant in 4L, and I remember how he phrased things, and that just, I don't remember ever reading that impact statement, but that is something I believe Elias would say. So, he's great, and it just, again, it goes to show you how well prepared and the type of a talent that we attract here at Lois.
Yeah, and I think also too, right, it's not often that we're taking depositions on schedule loss of use to really limit, something from being 20 to 10%, right? Like a lot of times those cases get resolved with some type of stipulation or some type of schedule loss of use. But based on your average weekly wage, that number, 10 to 20%, can actually be a very large exposure figure. So we do have some clients that say, well, like if they're going for 20 and we think it's a 10, that could be, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but, a lot of money that really impacts a case. And so to think to yourself, like, okay, regardless of how much money it is, notice that the impact statement didn't even include the dollar figure, right? The mission was to go in there, discredit the claimant's doctor, and really, put forth an effort that you don't often see in the context of that concept. Right. So that's why I chose that one. And to everybody that listened at my jubilation, I'm very sorry for my voice cracking. That was just pure joy at having Joe guess it correctly. Now we prepared so many more impact statements. So if you're someone at the firm that didn't get their impact statement read today, I have an idea for what the two of us can do. So just so that we don't create like an hour-long podcast that people will listen to, how about each of us go to the person with a message and say, hey, I was going to read your impact statement, just to give them some sort of flowers to say, hey, like, if we had more time, we were going to put this up, and just encourage them to do it more often because they really made the list, but for our inability to be really concise with our words. I was thinking that we'd have at least 5 to 7 each, but I think the riffing off of each impact statement got me really excited, and now we're up against a time situation here. Okay, final words for impact statements, gratitude month, anything from Mr. Impact Statement that our listeners can take away.
Well, the last thing I'll say is I always love to take an opportunity to brag about the firm that I work at. Everywhere I've ever worked, no matter how well I've done, and I'd like to think that I did a lot of good work, whether it be a law firm or anywhere else, the time that my bosses and peers came to me were really only to tell me when I wasn't doing something right. It was, you're not doing this right, or you can do this better, which again, also that type of feedback has its place and it's important. But no one ever really took the time to say, well, just out of the blue, not at a review or not at a conference, but on a random day, say, you know what, Joe, you did this right. This is great. Keep going. And I think that that's why the impact and gratitude statements are so important, because it's every single day. It's an opportunity. We work in a stressful environment. We do a lot of good work for our clients. We work very hard, and it is so reassuring on a daily basis to hear positivity, not only from the people that are measuring us, our reviewers, our bosses, our partners, but from our peers, to remind us that what we're doing has an impact on our clients and on each other. So anything that spreads positivity makes us feel better about ourselves and more confident, is a wonderful thing. So I'm a big proponent and big supporter of the impact gratitude statements.
I couldn't have ended it better than that, so I won't. For Joseph Melchionne, my name is Christian Cison, reminding you to defend from day one.